Well, we're starting a new sermon series for the summer. It is entitled To Boldly Go. Maybe you noticed in your worship guide the little descriptor about where we are headed over the next couple of months. Going to be working our way through the book of Genesis. And as Jesse said in the children's sermon, the very beginning of Genesis chapter 1 talks about that the earth was void and formless, and God's Spirit came across the deep, and he called forth light, and there was light, and he made the day, and he made the night, and he made all of the fish in the sea and everything that crawls on the earth and all of the animals and the men and the women and all of the stuff. The Creator. That is the main point of the scripture lesson this morning, that Genesis chapter 1 and then through chapter 2, verses 4 and then A is pretty much where the next story starts. I'm not going to read it because it is fairly long, but I do hope that if it is a story that you aren't familiar with, that you will read it. It's the easiest one to find in the Bible because you just open up to the first page. Not hard. Not hard. But basically, it is the story of God as the creator of everything, that God is the creator and we are not. So, as we begin today, thinking about how God is calling us to boldly go, I have a question for you. How many ears does Captain Kirk have? How many? Okay, the answer is 3. A right ear, a left ear, and a final front ear. Huh? Seriously, that was like the number 1 of the top 10 Star Trek jokes. And if that was number 1, I promise I'm not going to make you sit through the other 9. No. But I obviously like to have a little bit of fun when we can, as often as we can, specifically with this new sermon series title, because the stories of creation in Genesis, the stories also of call and covenant, they fit naturally into this idea of boldly going, where no one has gone before, the final frontier. As many of you probably already know, the word Genesis means beginning. And so what better place to start? Now, I admit I gravitated towards this Star Trek theme for somewhat selfish reasons. You see, the entire Star Trek genre is very nostalgic for me, especially on this Father's Day weekend, because it was something that my dad and I really enjoyed doing together. He loved the series when it was on, before it was in reruns. I believe that was 1966 to 1969. He watched every single one, and when it came back in reruns in 1977, it was on, at least where we lived in Naples, at 7 o'clock on Saturday night and 6 o'clock on Sunday night. And I know this because at 7 o'clock, The Wide World of Disney was on, or 60 Minutes was on. And my dad and I had to choose. We went back and forth. He got to watch 60 Minutes, and I got to watch Wide World of Disney. But the thing about Star Trek was that the game was that, could Dad find one that he hadn't seen yet? And that was always a banner night when he did. Some of you may remember the days of TV like that when there was only 13 channels along with the U, right? On the little dial. I know. I can see the nostalgia going on out there. And this early exposure to Star Trek, my love for science fiction, I was that kid, that girl who didn't really want the Barbie dream house. Instead, I wanted the Darth Vader carrying case, with all of the Star Wars figures. And fortunately, I got it. And some of the things that I really loved about science fiction were the imagination, the adventure, the camaraderie. These were a part of every single mission that Captain Kirk and his crew took on. Imagination, adventure, camaraderie. And these fantastic and fabulous components are a part of our scripture lesson today as well. Imagination, God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. Adventure, let the water swarm with fish and other life. Let the skies be filled with birds of every kind. So God created great sea creatures and every living thing that scurries and swarms in the water, and every sort of bird, each producing offspring of the same kind. And God saw that it was good. Camaraderie. Then God said, "Let us make human beings in our image to be like us. They will reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the livestock, all the wild animals on the earth, and the small animals that scurry along the ground." So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. And God looked over all he had made, and he saw that it was very good. It was very good. Imagination, adventure, camaraderie. Three things that are a part of the creation story which make it very good. And three things that are a part of us as the body of Christ so that we can be described as very good. A body that moves and breathes and laughs and cries, not only within these walls, but outside of them. To be the church. The active verb that we are called to be, and not a passive noun. I think a great rallying cry for us this summer here at First Methodist of Gainesville would be "Down with the noun." Down with the noun. We are called to be active. You see, this proclamation would remind us that church is not just a place where we go, but the church is who we are. The church is what we do. A creation that only becomes stronger as each person exercises their spiritual muscles. Now, today, I want to share with you a letter written by a father to a son in World War II that reinforces the incredible power of the present. It reads this way: "Dear son, I wish I had the power to write the thoughts wedged in my heart tonight. As I sit watching that small star and wondering where and how you are. You know, son, it's a funny thing how close a war can really bring a father who for years with pride has kept his emotions deep inside. I'm sorry, son, when you were small, I let reserve build up a wall. I told you that real men never cried, and it was mom who always dried your tears and smoothed your hurts away, so that soon you went back out to play. But son, deep down within my heart, I longed to have some little part in drying that tear-stained face. But we were men, and men don't embrace. And suddenly I found my son, a full-grown man with childhood done, and tonight you're far across the sea, fighting a way for men like me. Well, somehow pride and what is right have changed places here tonight. I find my eyes won't quite stay dry, and that men sometimes really do cry. And if we stood here face to face, I'm sure, my son, we would embrace. With conflicts raging around our world, with family members deployed in military service, this letter is as poignant today as it was many years ago then. But even for those of us who are not touched in such a personal way by war, there is or there needs to be an awareness of the fragility of life, of the power of now. That love should be shared today, that there's no time like the present, because as a matter of fact, there is nothing but the present. The past is gone and the future is not here yet. All we have is now. To let those around us in our congregation and beyond know how much they are loved, how much they are valued, how much they are cherished. Our universe and everything in it was created by an imaginative and adventurous God, a God who lives in camaraderie, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, a God that calls us not just to go, but to boldly go. Now, today, as faithful disciples into the world that he loves so much, he gave his only Son. Several years ago, I had the opportunity to go up to Willow Creek Community Church and attend a leadership conference there, and one of the persons that I got to hear speak was Nancy Beach. And she was the, at that time, Director of Worship Arts Ministries, and her talk was entitled 525,600 Minutes, Creating God Moments in Worship. And some of you may know this title is based on a song from the musical Rent called Seasons of Love. And in a nutshell, the message of the song is that although the mathematical measure of a year is 525,600 minutes, the best way to measure a year is in seasons of love. This is what she was telling us as worship leaders, that this was one of our jobs, or our major job, was to find space within worship to create these God moments. And it's not just for us as worship leaders to do, it is for all of us to do as we create those God moments, participate in those seasons of love here. We are called to do the same in our workplaces, in our homes, in all times and in all places. How are our lives marrying this act of extravagant love that we see in Christ? How are we sharing our time and our talents as offerings of love so that we as the creation can honor our Creator 525,600 minutes a year? Are you ready to go? Not just to go, but to boldly go. To boldly go, to not just go to church, but to be the church. As you come for communion in a few moments, you'll hear that song. It'll be playing Seasons of Love. I invite you to listen to the words, to let them penetrate who you are. And may all of our days that make up every season be measured in love. And all God's people said, amen.